This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today, we have another good neighbor on with us, and that is the Mike McCann of SUNflow. What's going on, Mike?
Sean, I'm doing well. I appreciate you having me on your show. I'm a fan, and I'm a community guy, and you do great work in the community. So I'm really happy to be a part of this message.
Yeah, super happy to have you on the show, man. Grew up here. I've been listening to your radio ads for a super long time growing up, and also loving the tree behind you. I've got my whole house decorated with Christmas gear. Me and my fiance were Christmas buffs, and we got the whole, everything pretty much outside of my office. You're going to find little things here or there, and then you get into the living room, and it's like walking into a completely different universe.
Hey, it was a great feeling when you were 5 years old at Christmas time. If you can keep that going the rest of your life, I think you're doing all right.
Yeah, I am definitely a kid at heart. You asked me the right question. I think everybody's going to figure that one out on this show. So I'm super curious. I want to dive into it. I'm sure others that have maybe perhaps heard your name or don't know you at all, I'm sure they're probably chomping at the bit. So why don't we dive into it, Mike? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business?
Yeah, so I started SUNflow over a decade ago. I had a message from my grandfather when I was like 10 years old in Glasgow, Scotland, and he talked about solar. And my grandfather was a very strict individual. I grew up in a very strict family, and so solar's always been peppered in the back of my mind. And I was in finance. I developed a sales and marketing platform that did really well nationally. And I saw an opportunity where I could take the platform that I created and, integrate that into a solar business. And I started with SUNflow Solar, say over a decade ago. And it was not an easy road. It was, what am I doing? Let's get back to finance. And, one day it just clicked and we just started rolling. And, my business really is solar, is roofing, windows and doors, renovations, consulting. But it really is the people that I've got surrounding me. And that really is the driving force behind SUNflow.
Yeah, I imagine 10 years ago, the technology's not what it is today. What was that 10-year period of having that technology to how it's evolved and how that's kind of changed some things within the business on obviously how you approach and being at the forefront of the research and knowing, what you need to deliver to your consumers?
Yeah, if we just isolate my business into solar, which I think is really good, have a good understanding because it's pretty unique. Solar is unique. Everyone kind of knows about solar, but people don't really know about solar. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. And the technology actually hasn't changed that much in 70 years.
Oh, really?
But what has changed is the efficiency. So where you would need a soccer field of solar panels, now you would need maybe a baseball field. Right inside the baseball field. So the solar panels have really come a long way with efficiency, but the technology hasn't changed that much. But the big change in my industry, in the solar industry, is really the government incentives. That is really what's driving globally all of the solar industry, because solar does get expensive, right, with the install and the materials, even though materials have come down 90% in the past 10 years. But the government incentives really push that to make that return on investment really desirable. And so it's my job really to market, hey, there's an opportunity here. And then once I'm in front of them, to sell them. I don't sell so I win. I really sell so the customer wins. And that's really what I dedicate my sales and marketing team to, really educate and present a solution. And if it works for them, then we're really happy to be the installers.
So anybody, 4 walls and a roof, business versus residential, anybody who's interested in wanting to save some money in the long run would be an ideal client for you?
I really wish that statement was true. It'd make my job a lot easier. But no, there's a lot of circumstances that go into solar. Just to give you kind of the high level, broad brush strokes.
Yeah.
Obviously, shading is a big part. You want to have your panels facing southeast or west. You don't want them facing north. Shading with trees or other buildings. Also, too, is we're on a grid. We're on a grid system here in Ontario, throughout Canada, and some grids just can't take any more capacity for renewable energy. So I've had lots of clients that are like super gung-ho, we go through the application process and they get rejected by LDC or by a hydro company because there's just no room on the grid.
It's like, sorry, man, you're going to have to move if you want some solar panels.
Well, I mean, I've had people say that. They've been so frustrated and, if I can say it, ticked off. And but then again, sometimes the grid opens up. Utility companies change transformers, and then sometimes the grid opens up. So it's never a dead zero. It's just not for now. And we will check every 6 months. And we've had some lucky customers that once got rejected, a year later, 6 months, 2 years later, it opens up. And I've called them up, and I think everyone's just been overjoyed and gone for it.
Cool. Very cool. Well, we talked about letting curiosity lead the conversation. So let's say I'm in Northwest Barrie. Let's say everything checks out for the grids. I ended up being in a place where I can have it. I'm on a corner lot. I don't have a lot of trees around me. So we could definitely figure out, make sure we get the panels in the right direction. What am I looking at in terms of like timeline period, where obviously there's an initial upfront cost to get the panels put in. And then from my understanding, it takes a little while to be able to recoup it till you start seeing that kind of return on investment. Is it different for everybody? Is it relatively the same? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, if we were sitting in front of your house, I would probably go into a lot more detail than probably I need to go into detail now because your audience is so varied. But I would say that solar systems really come down to commercial and residential, right? So if you give me a few minutes, I'll talk about residential, then I'll maybe go into commercial.
Yeah, 100%.
Very different animals, if you want to call it. All producing energy, all doing the same thing, but there's different incentives and different, financial benefits. So, for residential, there's two ways of looking at it. I like to tell clients, maybe I'll ask you, Sean, when's the best time to plant a tree?
Yesterday.
20 years ago. Yeah, same thing, yes. And so when's the second best time to plant a tree?
Would be today.
You got it. Yeah. And so solar is just the same way. I tell people, could you imagine 10 years ago if we actually had this conversation? Your panels would be producing all this free electricity. Your hydro bill would go from $500 down to $50 a month. Commercially, it could go from tens of thousands of dollars down to $1,000 a month, right? And so that really is the best time for solar. Was 10, 20 years ago, just like a tree. But I mean, we don't live in the past. You have to solve problems and come up with solutions today. And so solar really still is a great opportunity because there's incentives from the federal government that will give homeowners a $40,000 interest-free loan amortized over 10 years. Amortized meaning you have to pay it off over 10 years. So generally residential takes between 7 and 12 years to pay back, right? And so if you look at strictly the math, that would be the investment. But then I look at it a different way, and maybe your audience and you would share the way my perspective is. Wouldn't you feel great that after we install the solar system, on day one, you're producing your own energy and saving your own energy? All of your lights, your computer, your TV, charging up your baby toys, whatever it may be, all has the exact same service, but instead of paying $200-300 a month, you're just paying a flat fee of the delivery, which would be like $50 a month. To me, I have a great deal of excitement because then the return on investment could be really day one. And then I don't even get involved right now with the environment. Renewable energy is definitely one of the cleanest ways of producing energy. I am saying nuclear, we absolutely need, for the demand. But so solar really is just a couple spokes on a wheel that actually make the world go round.
Yeah, there definitely is something to say about when you are using that renewable, that clean energy. Like I've got a Ford Escape hybrid and I've had it since 2021 and still to this day, like it's probably going to happen to me again tomorrow. I'll get on a downhill and then I can kick the electric in. And then I'm like, look at me, I'm driving for free. This feels great.
You're driving for free, but you're also not, being a part of the problem by producing more pollution, right?
Yeah.
The more community you get, the more that you start caring more about, the globe. Start thinking globally and acting locally. Trust me, every one of my clients I talk to, they didn't start by thinking about the globe. They started about saving money, but it does feel good having a system on your roof, knowing that you're contributing to, green power, green electricity.
Yeah. So that was the residential component. What about the commercial?
Yeah, commercial is actually really exciting. There's a new program out from the federal government. We've got a really popular client in the northwest area of Barrie that if I said his name, you all would know. And so we'll be installing that early next year. It's when the snow falls. We're in the application process now. He's been approved. The company's been approved. And he's got about $1 million system, right? And he'll be getting back about $500,000 on his first year. He's cash flow positive on year 3. On year 5, he's 90% paid off. On year 7, he's completely paid off. So his return on investment really is 6-7 years. But there's lots of banks that are willing to lend commercial and industrial properties. And so if you use the bank's money, which I always encourage them to, they're getting returns 13-14%.
Yeah, that was my next question. So you answered it for me. That's a really nice return.
Well, like basically no risk. The only risk is if the sun didn't shine, Sean, that would be the least of your worries, how much solar power you're producing. And the second risk would be if hydro all of a sudden costs less money. And I'm sure that's going to be one of your questions in the future about the future of electricity. But there's no way in God's green earth that it is going to go down. It is going to skyrocket up because of the supply and the demand. Yeah,
very cool, very cool. You mentioned consulting as a part of some of the things that you do. I mean, windows and doors, roofs. I think you're well known for that as well. Obviously, the panels are up there as well too, so that goes hand in hand. But tell us a little bit about the consulting side. What do you do there?
Yeah, so I consult. I have a management company that companies come in and they want some projects done. I do a lot of consulting up in Muskoka. I also do a bit of political consulting. I was a politician for 8 years, and I've got a lot of great connections and really great understanding of how politicians think, how builders think, how the consumer thinks, how the taxpayer thinks. And I can really see a wholesome, full-bodied, there's the problem, what's the solution, what's the best tactic. So I wouldn't say it's my major business, but it's definitely something that I enjoy doing, and it's something that I do help a lot of people with. And that results obviously in my in SUNflow as well. I do some consulting with SUNflow, big projects, and not necessarily every project gets to fruition, but I give people a real wholesome look at the benefits, the cost, what to expect, and I give them the information so they can make a decision.
Beautiful. I love this question because it's different for every guest, but also you have different walks of life and different age groups, right? We're starting to come into kind of my age bracket. I'm 35. I'm starting to see a lot more young entrepreneurs out there, which is super exciting because, I started doing sales when I was 17 years old, selling vacuum cleaners door to door, and then finally got into, a real job and inside sales rep to outside sales rep and, moving down the line. I have always been, and for the most majority of the part, I am still the youngest person in the room. Been doing this for over 15 years now. So when I ask this question, some people have been doing what they've been doing. Like you said, you've been doing it for over a decade, and it's always really nice to see, well, what was that journey like leading into, doing what you're doing today? Maybe share that experience with our listeners today.
Yeah, interesting question. It kind of complicated, and I just want to nail down on, specifically, are you asking me, why did I start SUNflow? Why did I go in kind of into the deep end? And why did I, see the vision and keep pulling when times were tough? Is that what you're basically asking?
Everything before that. So some people come out of the womb, and they know exactly what they're doing. They do that for their whole life. They retire in the same job, a little bit more prevalent back in the day, not so much in today's day and age. And then some people, it's a little bit more of a stepping stone. Like I had to take, 6 big steps to get into finally doing what I'm doing. I had a 9-year stint, a couple 3-year stints, selling jeans and shoes when I was 19, 20 years old. That's a little bit more on the smaller stepping stones. But that was, would be my journey from selling vacuum cleaners to getting into retail, into an inside sales job, traveling across Canada and outside sales, landing in the car biz, doing automotive marketing for dealers, helping them retain their clients. Did that for 9 years. And then COVID killed it. So built a $12.5 million business and had nothing to show for it. Company's not even around anymore, hit rock bottom, and then had to decide, what I want to do. Been bullied my whole life, bullied in elementary school, bullied in high school, bullied in the workforce, the whole bit. So I've been ragged around, and then finally getting an opportunity to work for myself, and then get an opportunity to partner with the other co-hosts on the show, my good buddy Jeff. And now I can't be bullied anymore. So, and then the good work that we do out there for business owners, for the community members out there. So that was my journey leading into doing what I'm doing today. What was your journey like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually kind of started my adult life in London, England. I had a job in a marketing company. I remember I had to travel like 2 hours to the tube, the subway, to get to my work, because I was living with my uncle who lived in Surrey, south of London, and I worked in Welland Garden. And I loved it because it was just a great experience, even though over there they think we're crazy to travel to work, they're a different mindset. And they really wanted to put me into the executive program. They really saw at a young age, I was like 20 years old, that, hey, we really want to invest a lot into Mike McCann. We really want to see him grow. I did really, really well. But something in me just thought, you know what? Being Canadian, living in Canada back in the 90s, was just a better opportunity and a better experience. And I just saw that, what they were doing as an organization. I really thanked them for the opportunity. Said, no, I'm going to go back to Canada. I'm going to go back to Barrie. I'm going to open up a new business. I finished school. I was at Georgian. I was at Ryerson. And I really saw myself being an entrepreneur from day one. I was always a motivated thinker, always a visionary. And so I got into like the bar and restaurant business, and really took a bar that was not doing so well. And, I remember Randy, now the mayor of Oriel, said, Fitzy's, which is the one I owned, part-owned, actually was one of the most successful bars in Barrie, as in how much beer and production we did. And I felt a little heart there, because we had lots of great people around. It's very entrepreneurial, just like you're talking about selling vacuums. I wouldn't discount that, because that's actually built a lot of character and made you who you are. So yeah. I love sales, guys. Sales is a dying art. I really think a great salesperson, has a reputation of only being about themselves, but they're not the great salespeople. The great salespeople are the ones that really take a product or service and actually, with enthusiasm and clarity, actually present something to a client that actually benefits their life. So everyone needs a vacuum. And I remember those days, I never was a vacuum cleaner salesman, but I just want to tell you, I got deep respect for that. I really do.
Thank you, man.
And so I just kind of rose through life. Once I finished the bar and restaurant industry, I got into liquidation. And then like you with COVID, 9/11 really killed my business, because they really tightened up the screws. And I was kind of like wondering where I should go. I was playing tennis with a bunch of guys that were in finance. And like anytime I want to play tennis with these guys, they could play, whether it was 6 a.m, 10 a.m, 2. I'm like, listen, I'm kind of like here to figure out what my next step is. You guys are all adults. How do you have so much time open? They talked about a residual income. They took them a year to get me convinced to move in that direction. I did. I kind of hated it, but I saw the financial reward, and I really took to training, recruiting, coming up my own sales and marketing platform that I shared with everybody, and that really helped grow their incomes. And I got a lot of self-satisfaction. When I got married, back in 2013, like 10% of my of the wedding was actually my fellow salespeople throughout the nation that all flew in to see me get married. So
very cool.
Built some real good connections, some relations, and life's short, and you got to make the best of it every day, right?
Yeah, 100%. Hey, you never know when you're going to kick the bucket, right? It could be tomorrow, it could be 10 years down the road, could be all the way till you're 97. Sitting on your couch having a beer with your feet up, and you decide to kick the bucket. So you never really know. And Jeff talks a lot about it. And if you've been around anybody that's had a brush up with death, you see just how it changes their perspective. And been around enough people to try to live my life a little bit more through that lens and try to appreciate stuff in the moment, not try to plan too far into the calendar and only think about those things, try to live in the moment type of thing.
Sean, I see that. You're a pretty authentic guy, and it's great having this interview with you because you're just a great guy, and I'm really happy that we're taking this time together.
Appreciate it, Mike. I have the same feelings as well. So tell me, in your business, are there any myths, any misconceptions when it comes to solar that you hear from people?
Just the industry itself, right? I mean, hydro rates are going to go up. There's no way in God's green earth that hydro rates aren't going up. So everybody looks at solar, I think, like gasoline. They're at a pump. They're just going to put the pump in whatever the price is they're going to pay because they've got no solution. Well, the government's giving you a real solution that's actually helping the government, helping the client, and then helps the industry. And hydro rates, are definitely going to go up, in my professional opinion. Because of the demand out there that really is needed. And the infrastructure right now, it needs a lot of love, and that costs a lot of money. The Ford government already said that they're going to be putting in a new nuclear plant. Well, we put one in 50 years ago, and I think it cost $25 billion. So what's it going to cost now? 100 billion, 150 billion, 50 billion, 200 billion? Like, we're talking B's, not M's here, right?
Yeah.
Who's gonna pay for that? And it doesn't stop there. They're thinking about getting another nuclear plant. And we're developing so many new properties, and our population's expanding, electric cars and everything, that we just need more electricity. So putting solar on your roof, even though the incentives are there to support the homeowner or the industry, it actually is great for the environment, but also great for the government, because now the homeowner or the business takes all the responsibility. And that's where I come in as a solar company, because then I take the responsibility and make sure that your system runs smooth for 30, 40, 50 years. It's got amazing warranties. And, solar's not like jumping in Lake Simcoe or having an ice cream cone. It's not instant gratification. It's slow and steady wins the race. And so the misconception really is getting an understanding, and hydro rates are going to double, are going to triple in our lifetime. We don't know how fast that's going to happen. And if you doubt that, look at Calgary. They doubled in 2 years. Look at California. They're 3 times more expensive than us. Look at parts in Europe. They're 5 times more expensive than us. It's just reality.
And that thumb that came up there probably couldn't have came at a better time for those who are watching this on video. As you were talking, the thumb came up. That was pretty comical. You say instant gratification. I mean, that hits pretty deep, because we talk about it a lot in our line of profession. Like, when you're branding your business, it's not like eating an ice cream cone. You're in it for the long run. And when you do it, you don't stop. And, same concept applies, right? That's just I think that's just the way our society is run, with the technology just taking off, everybody turning into this really busy digital world, and everybody's got access to everything so quickly. The patience level for a lot of things, have gone down in human beings, and it's just education. People just need to understand that, sometimes some of the better things in life take a little bit more time. If you can just understand that a little bit more, it's a little bit easier to digest, but it's difficult because our brains are wired a lot more than they were back in I like to call them the good old days, in the 70s and the 80s, when life was a little bit more simple. You'd have a little bit more patience for those type of things.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I mean, it's a great industry to be in. It helps you long term, and like everything in life, right? If it's easy, sometimes it's not worth doing, And I'm not saying solar's hard, but it takes a little patience, takes a little understanding, and I'm happy to give that to customers.
So I'm the type of guy that really likes to have that. I don't call it a balance, because balance is equal, right? And as business owners, when we get into doing what we're really passionate about, doesn't really feel like work. It's like business is just integrated and a part of who we are. They're not separate things. So when we're out there working on our business or in our business, it's a lot more pleasurable. And so we can dump in a lot more hours than somebody who maybe just works the 9 to 5. They're just doing the job because they want to do the job. So I like to call it a harmony. It's finding that tune that really meshes well between, when you're out there doing your thing and working on or in your business versus, what we like to do outside of that, hobbies. You mentioned tennis, that type of thing. So when you're not working on or in your business, what does Mike like to do for fun?
You know what? Great question. And I'm really happy to share with your audience. I think I live a really fulfilled life. You know, mind, body, and spirit's just not 3 words. I really live that every day. I do live every day like it could be the last, right? You know, so I wake up every morning and I meditate. And I just think about, you know, what I'm really appreciative of, whether it's in the past or what I'm appreciative that's happening in the future. I definitely exercise, whether it's the gym, on my bike, playing tennis, playing pickleball. I bought a new Peloton for the winter. Right. You know, I live right on Lake Simcoe, so I bike Lake Simcoe crazy amount of time. So there's the exercise component that I'm, it just makes me feel better. And obviously I'm at an age now, I'm 49. I'm really looking how I'm going to be feeling and looking, you know, not looking, but feeling when I'm 90. And then it comes down to family, right? You know, family's a big part of my life. My father passed 7 years ago. My mother's still with me, and you know, I try to have dinner with her once a week minimum. I talk to her every single day, you know, to make sure she's 80, to make sure that she's anything she needs. I've got a great girlfriend, a great network of friends. I have, you know, church. You know, I'm a very spiritual individual, you know, and I try to, you know, be appreciative of that spiritual aspect of my life. It really does bring fulfillment to me. I go to Harvest Church in Barrie, great pastor there and great pastors. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something out, but you know, I also like downtime. I like putting Netflix on. I didn't like watching the Tyson fight, but most times I like watching, you know, Netflix, watching hockey, watching tennis on TV. I like my quiet time too.
Yeah, I'm a big hockey fan. I'm a Leaf fan. Like you, we talked about before the show, being born in Winnipeg, still am a Jets fan, but not like I am a Leaf fan. They left and they weren't around. They turned to the Atlanta Thrashers for a while before they came back. And just having been here for so long, and you know, you decide to pick your bed and make your bed, and then you lay in it. And I picked that for the Leafs, so it's been quite the up and down for that. The one thing that I want to say is when you're able to collect as much information about something before you dump into it, I find it quite valuable. And for me, as a human being, I have a lot of different interests. Anything competitive, brother, I am all about it, whether that's on a court, whether that's on a field, if it's in a rink, if it's on a lawn. That could be a video game, a board game, a card game, a drinking game, anything that has a competitive edge, I am all for it. And the one game that is super popular that I haven't come around to yet, I did go to Costco and impulse bought the paddles, though, was what you said about pickleball. So I wanted to pick your brain. I've had 3-4 guests on the show now and said, you know what, this is a pastime. It is insanely addicting. It is definitely on my bucket list to get out there next year and go and play that. What's your experience been like? How did you get into it? What do you love about it? Give me all the nitty gritty on this.
Oh my Lord. I'm not sure if I should say this publicly or not, but I mean, you know, when the pandemic hit, so I'm a big tennis guy, played probably 10 hours a week, lots of people, a big network. Pandemic hit, you couldn't play anything. But I had some, I won't say the church, but there was a church, and it wasn't Harvest, that actually had like an underground pickleball league when the pandemic was going on. So it was the only sport you could do. Either walking, and even then you couldn't leave. So I played underground pickleball, but I played with a group of guys that I played tennis with. So we were all the same level, which is really healthy because we all learned the game together, played indoors, and it's just exploded. You know, I've divorced my wife, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. We're still best friends. I've got a new girlfriend, and I would say that my level of pickleball is quite high for Barrie. And she was not a racket person, but I had a lot of fun this summer, meeting new friends that were at a certain level of pickleball that are great people, community people I'm going to probably introduce you to be on your show. And as a group, we kind of just played where I just changed my style of game. So my experience of pickleball is a lot like golf, is that you can go with an amazing golfer and have somebody that's okay and still have a great round of golf. Where tennis, you can't, right? You can't have one team that's 10 times better in hockey. It just doesn't become fun, right? But pickleball, you can actually have a variance of skill sets and still have a lot of fun. The community in Barrie at Painswick Park, the community down in Naples, Florida, where I played, the community in Newmarket. I just played swing for the first time in Collingwood. It's surrounded by great people. Like, they're willing to like give advice. They're willing to help mold you, have fun with you. It's a great sport. You know, do you burn the most calories playing pickleball? Sometimes, but you know, I mean, it's a lot about, it's really about fun and have that competitive edge. And so anytime you want to play, I definitely believe I'll kick your ass the first time we play.
Probably. I bet you'll see the competitive fire come out of me, though.
Bring eye goggles.
Love it. Yeah, I went as my fiance and I went as Ken and Barbie for Halloween.
Nice.
And so that's when they were in the, I don't know if you've seen the movie, but it's a popular picture where they're wearing like the 70s retro kind of gear, right? The flashy colors. I honestly could just wear that costume on the court with a headband, and I'd fit right in like a dirty shirt.
Sean, let me just make a statement. You are more of a man than I am. I have not watched Barbie. I've never planned on watching Barbie. So you win that one. Yeah,
I inherited an 18-year-old daughter. So when that movie came out, both the girls wanted to do it. So, you know, I took one for the team, and it was really funny. You know, it was really funny. But hey, I got an excuse. I went with the girls. I didn't go alone. So we're going to go.
That is good. That is good. You know what's going to happen this weekend? I'm going to watch Barbie.
Dude, you're going to text me after and be like, that was actually a good movie. All right, so let's swing things over a little bit more of a serious tone. Everybody picks their path in life. We walk this path, and it's different for everybody. Life gets in the way sometimes. It's, you know, life is not easy. Life is hard. And when life gets in the way, it throws things at us, right? It'll throw obstacles at us. It'll throw life challenges at us. Sometimes people experience tragedies, some people more than others. It's just the way life goes sometimes. Some people get away with it a little bit easier than others. I've always been fascinated with human beings, right? Their ability to be able to overcome these challenges. Really, a lot of it, I believe, is a mindset thing, being able to see the glass half full, seeing things the right way, pulling silver linings from something that happened. Growth is uncomfortable. And being able to see it through that lens really shapes and mold how we grow as human beings. And so I wanted to ask you if you've ever experienced a hardship, a life challenge that maybe you overcame, maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger, maybe you pulled some silver linings from it.
You are a great interviewer, and that's really, really well put. I mean, very motivating. And I have a ton of stories that I could tell you because I've been an entrepreneur. I failed a lot. But I am a firm believer that in the success model, whether it's personal, spiritual, or professionally, failure is an ingredient in that model. I don't know one person that's succeeded. I don't know one person that's in a relationship that they haven't had failures in that relationship. Anybody who's been spiritual that hasn't, you know, questioned or had some downtime. So failure to me is beautiful. Do I want to swim in it every day? No, but I want to learn from it. And so I'll tell you a story how Mike McCann left to London, England to go work as a boy, and how Mike McCann, right on the Pacific, the Atlantic Ocean, became a man. So I won't go into too much detail, but I'll just give you the broad brush strokes, is that in London, England, there was an opportunity that I was really nervous to actually pursue. And every day, this 5 days a week, this opportunity came my way. I just kind of kept on pushing it off, so much so that it actually overwhelmed me. And it was like a brick wall in front of me. And then it was no longer the opportunity. It was my own fear that stopped me from pursuing this opportunity. And I didn't pursue it. I just let it go. And I got into the plane. Oh geez, I forgot the airline, not important. But I remember being halfway from London to Toronto. So I'm guessing I was somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And it hit me like a brick wall. You idiot, Mike. Because the feeling that I had over the Atlantic Ocean on that airplane coming home was the worst feeling that if I actually just went for the opportunity and failed miserably, at least I would know. And having that experience, I say, I left a boy and became a man, because when I landed, I just said, forget it. I am no longer going to let fear be a part of my life. Or sorry, I'm no longer going to let fear be a deterrent in my life. And so whenever I feel fear, I just go for it, and I'm okay to fail. I'm okay to see where the chips fall. I'm okay to see what happens, because to me, not knowing was the failure, not actually pursuing it and failing. And so I could give you 1,000 examples how I've used that. I was 21 when I came back over, and that was a life lesson that I would love to tell a million kids. Like, I mean, just like, we're so caught up in not failing and looking stupid and feeling stupid and having people judge us. It doesn't matter. All that matters is how you feel about yourself, your relationship, I hope it's your spiritual connection, right? The people that you treat around you, that you try to embrace everybody and make everybody's vibration and energy and become better people. And without sounding too Tony Robbins here, that really is how I look at people, everybody. Even the people I don't like. And there's lots of people I don't like in this world, but I just try to get that fear of why I don't like them and try to rise above. And it just makes me feel a better person.
Run towards the fear, fail forward. You miss every shot you don't take. All can be summed up in what you just said.
Check. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people look at, having their own anxieties, having, the fear of doing something. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be alive. Your heart's still going to be pumping, and not taking those risks, not taking those opportunities that come to you. It makes it a lot more difficult to try to move ahead in life or go for something that you want, go for a dream, whether you want to become a business owner someday. Could be relatable to having, what we do here on the show, and having business owners come on and tell their story. Goes a long way, right? If not, then you're just kind of sitting behind your own wall that you put up, and it's really difficult to move forward or to get the things in your life if you don't go for it.
Sean, I'll just add one more thing, because you and I are obviously, I think, pretty what's the cliche word, common souls, or I think we think alike, which I don't meet a lot of people who think like me. And this is the crazy thing, but I think me being 49, I've got the experience to say this with a lot of confidence. Sometimes what you really want in life isn't what's going to serve you in life.
Yeah. I mean, being happy with yourself and taking care of yourself. And, sometimes people might look and have a goal that's a financial goal, and saying like, I want to get to there. They get there. And that's why there's a lot of really, really wealthy people in the world that are just not happy.
Yeah.
Right. Because they got there and they realized like, oh, that wasn't actually what I thought it was. I've been I got back into Survivor. I grew up watching that with my parents. I got sucked into it. Was there's one on Amazon Prime. It's from 2017. By the way, if anybody's looking to get back into that was a great season. It did hook me back in, and now my fiance and I have watched 4 seasons in the last 6 weeks. You're just power watching it, and there's a lot of what I take out of there. I'm applying a lot of what I see on the show to just everyday life things. And, one of those is really at the end of the day, if I ever got on that show, to not win obviously sucks. You want to go to the win, but my whole purpose and goal would be to make it as far as I can, because of how it's going to shape me, how it's going to change me as a human being. And Jeff and I apply that to our business. It's we have some really big goals in what we want to do and how many people that we want to help. And we really want to change the landscape for the small business world. And Jeff told me this, and it's sticking. It's going to stick with me until the day I die. It's who do we have to become to get there? And that's what we're more excited about. At the end of the day, success will come. If you can help as many people as possible, if you help enough people find success, you will eventually find success. So we try to just take that humble approach, get out there and help as many people as we can. And eventually, and we're already starting to see it, the people who we were last year to who we are this year and who we're going to be in 3 years is going to be a drastic change. I think that's one of the things that we're looking forward to the most. Okay. So Mike, what's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
Well, I would say that a lot of people think that there's no solution that they're going to have towards, lower hydro bills, right? And right now, solar has great incentives that actually give them a solution to a problem that they may have right now, they may not. But as hydro rates keep on increasing, when they double, when they triple, like my professional opinion believes that they're going to, by looking at California, looking at even Calgary, they doubled over 2 years, looking at Europe, they're 5 times more expensive, looking at, new Canadians coming into our country, looking at electric vehicles, looking at the cost of changing our infrastructure, the $100 billion plus, nuclear plant that we're going to be building. Like everything on a spreadsheet says that hydro rates are going to go up. And so solar is a really great investment. Yes, for the environment, but more for your business or for your home, because as hydro rates go up, you have the exact same service that you do right now, but you're going to be paying much less, right? I mean, I can get people's hydro bills down, their usage down to zero, right? They don't need any batteries. It's not a complicated system. I've got experts. I'm one of the longest running solar companies in Canada, and my business is only 12, 13 years old. It's because there's so many companies that come in and come out. I honor my warranty. So when the industry kind of shut down back in 2018 because there was no more incentives, I stayed on because I had, thousands of clients that had warranties that I want to make sure that if there was an issue, that I'm here to answer it. What happened was I actually started servicing 47 or 49 other solar companies' customers because they didn't exist anymore. So, misconception is that the solar industry is a real solution to look at. If you're looking at being in your property long-term, over 5-10 years, then this is a real business that's going to actually bring your hydro rates down when you actually do need them. And if there is no incentives, then you're just doing it out of need. Right now, you can capitalize on the investment and make a little more money, save a little more money. And then also, if you're a business and it costs you $1 to produce something and 10% is your hydro cost, well, I can reduce that cost of production by 10% and you're saving that money. So there's a whole bunch of, ways of looking at solar. But I think I said earlier, solar's not like jumping in Lake Simcoe. It's not like looking at Niagara Falls. It's not like eating an ice cream cone where it's instant gratification. Solar, slow and steady wins the race because panels are lasting up to 50 years. They come with rock solid, never seen warranties better than this in any industry of 25 years. And so therefore, hope I'm not a little long-winded, but I'm very passionate about solar. I'm very passionate about saving my customers money, about, saving money is making money. And I'm passionate about giving them an investment that is very low risk, that's going to give them double-digit returns.
Very well said, Mike. You know your business very well. I'm sure there's some people who are certainly interested in wanting to learn a little bit more about what you guys do and how you can help them. So for those who are, what would be one of the best ways that they can go ahead and reach you?
You know what? I've got a really intensive website that if you're a let's say more introverted person and a reader and you'd like to know more information, I've got a one-stop shop that tells you about the industry, tells you a bit about my company. But the best thing to do is to call me up. One of my sales team or I still do sales. I still love sales, right? We'll come to your home or business. I need to see your hydro bills. I need to understand how much you're spending, but more importantly, when you're using your power, because there's different costs during the day. If you're a user that uses it mostly at night, then you'll need less panels if you're a user that needs it during the day where it's most expensive. So just these things here, I've been doing this for over a decade, so it doesn't take my team long to come up with a free proposal. And then everything's, your business, your home is personal and it's different from your neighbors. And so I want to be exact as much as I can be and give you exact information. And before you spend a penny, you're going to know all the information you need. And I'm happy to give that on CFT for free. Obviously, I'm a businessman. I want to have you as a client. But if I don't, I'm okay with that too.
Well said, man. Beautiful. Awesome conversation. That was a lot of fun. Really happy to have you on the show, let you tell your story, get to know you as a human being, and wish you all the best in the future, man.
I'll see you in the pickleball courts.
You got it, buddy.
Okay, be good.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.